So I tried writing a new campaign. I opened a blank document and then I stared at the screen and thought to myself, how do you do this again? Before we start this video, I want you to go to the blah blah below, that's the comments, and let me know what you think makes making a new campaign so hard. This is a small channel, I don't get many comments, so if you comment below, I'm going to see it, I'm going to heart it, and very likely respond, so let's get a conversation going. I love seeing all your detailed comments, thinking about them, and responding to them. Very often, you guys can come up with stuff that I didn't even think about in the video. So please, comment below, I want to see it. And if you think that starting a campaign is super easy, maybe let us know as well, and we can all hate on you, report you, and get you banned off of YouTube. Welcome back, everybody. This is GDS. Because I am GDS and I make YouTube videos, it might seem like I have everything figured out. But I did not fall to my own hype because recently I started making a new campaign and I came to the realization that may be obvious to many of you, which is making a new campaign is hard. Why is it so hard? Now, it's not just hard in the obvious way that you need to make a bunch of content, NPCs, encounters, dungeons, and stuff like that. The hardest thing was getting a blank page and filling it, starting from scratch. I bet many of you can relate. I think a fair question would be, why do I even want to make my own setting? What's the point? Because there are so many settings out there, I could save myself the trouble. For me, there are two main reasons. The first one is that I know what excites me, and I know what excites my players, very specifically. And if I make my own setting, I can laser focus on those things. The second reason is that making my own setting does not stop me from stealing things from other settings. I do this all the time. I literally lift things from settings I like that I think are neat and just rename them and plug them into my game. Sometimes I even lift things and put them in my campaign without renaming them. Players often don't notice, and when they do, they don't mind. I like fitting things into my own settings and developing it by myself, because knowing my own setting allows me to run the game better, I feel. Deep knowledge of the setting allows me to improvise and plan much better than I would be able to otherwise. That doesn't mean that making your own setting is the right thing to do, it just means it's the right thing for me. And I want to tell you the biggest lesson I learned when making my own setting. Originality doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when I make my world, and believe it or not, it doesn't matter when you make your world. Plot archetypes and faction archetypes are easy to make and work with because they are familiar, and because of their prevalence, you can be sure that they are actually compelling to your players. We do our best world building when we are inspired, which is why in a previous video, which you will find here or here, I can never remember, I told you to only world build two things. One, what you absolutely need for your next session, and two, what you're inspired by. When you do this, some things are unfinished. In other words, you end up leaving space, and this is actually a feature, not a bug. When you leave space, you allow future you or your players to surprise you, to be inspired by a space they see and fill it. The great thing about archetypes is that they are naturally broad. They leave space. And so when you use archetypes in your world setting, this is what you do. Number one, you use a tried and true archetype that you can be sure is compelling for your players. It will work. Two, you pull free content that you are not necessarily inspired to make yourself, but you're still excited by. After all, that's why you're pulling it. Number three, because all that other work is already done for you, you can focus on the things that inspire you, the things you are going to world build best. And let me tell you, very often, the parts that you want to make are the parts the players want to play, and vice versa is true. The parts you don't want to make are the parts the players don't want to play. Your excitement, or lack of excitement, will rub off on your players. Now, I do mean rub off metaphorically, because everybody knows when you rub off on your players, they make a report, your parole officer calls you, they tell you you can't do that again, you explain the situation, and they say that's not what strip sets mean in the gym. And you say, I thought it is, and they say, no, it's not, and also that's not what a strip mall means. It's a whole situation that you really want to avoid. So best take this advice metaphorically. Here is the best thing when you use archetype. You may think to yourself that the trade-off to using archetypes is that, yes, it's easier, but because you're not being original, the world doesn't feel original. Counterintuitively, this is actually not true. Your voice will emerge. It doesn't take much to make a world feel unique. You would never confuse the story Dune and The Lion King for each other, even though they are both basically Hamlet. They both use the same plot archetype. And their plots work. They work, they are compelling to us because they are based on tried and true archetypes. People focus too much trying to make their world feel original, which makes them feel stuck. I get it. I want my world to be fun and unique too. But what I recently learned is that some of the most successful and unique worlds out there follow established archetypes. They do so because those archetypes work, and because those archetypes allow their authors to focus on the things that they actually care about, the things they're actually inspired by. Making worlds and stories is hard. It's hard. It's not easy, which is why using archetypes makes so much sense. Archetypes just work. They do. So use them. I'm sure many of you needed to hear this just like I did when I was making that campaign. Finding this process difficult doesn't make you a bad writer. Using archetypes doesn't make you a bad GM. It just makes you human. And the great part is that making a story or a world feel original to you, feel yours, is easy, if not inevitable. It happens by itself when you focus on the things that you find neat, when you build what you're inspired by. That's everything I have for the video about why originality doesn't really matter and is not a thing you should focus on, and if anything, counterintuitively, it comes by itself when you make what you're inspired by. If you like the video, make sure to smash the like button, grab your mouse and just click it as fast as possible. Just make sure it's an odd number of times. Let's go for 151. Also, if you want to see more, make sure you're subscribed. There is a bell which you can click, which will give you notifications when I upload. I can't tell you how much doing all this stuff helps me because I don't know. I don't know how the algorithm works. I don't think anyone does, but I hear it helps. We have a Discord. The link is going to be in the nonsense below. We talk about all this stuff we talk about on this channel, so come join. That's pretty much it. I'll see you later.